A sophisticate and a scientist, Tony Stark is as much at home in a laboratory as he is in high society. Aside from turning his millions into billions, the character of Iron Man has not changed much since this description from Tales of Suspense 39 in 1963. The ironclad Avenger has had dozens of suits in his over 50 years of publication, from single-threat suits like the Hulk and Thor-busters to high sci-fi suits like Extremis and Bleeding Edge that push the limits of what constitutes an Iron Man suit in the first place. Today on Comics Topics, who would make the best third Iron Man? Okay, so I say third Iron Man because sometime back in his alcoholic haze, that was, the late 80s or 90s?
Armor Wars.
James Rhodes briefly fills in for Tony while he battles alcoholism and a hostile takeover of Stark International. Apparently it was called Stark International before it was Stark Industries. Not that
it's
important.
Been a lot of things.
Yeah, James Rhodes is a founding member of the West Coast Avengers while wearing the famous Silver Centurion armor, which is personally my favorite. And the best part is no one even knows that it's a different Iron Man inside the Iron Man suit when he's joined by like Tigra and Hawkeye and the rest of the West Coast Avengers crew. So it's third Iron Man because James Rhodes,
Not
original.
the first time he's filled in for him, by the way.
That's correct as well. So welcome to Comics Topics. Here it is, the best third Iron Man, and our guests today going around the table.
This is John.
Hi, I'm Greg.
I'm Kenny.
All right, cool. We're going to go right here with John.
All right, so I threw around a couple ideas for my favorite third Iron Man. I thought about Nick Fury for a little bit. It would have been pretty cool. Thinking about kind of the comic books and the movie take, going kind of the comics way, a little bit of the movie way too. I thought that Iron Spider-Man all the time would be a great third Iron Man. Not like the whole Scarlet Spider thing. I think there was a whole little break off when Tony Stark first made the Iron Man costume or armor for Spider-Man.
For what was that, Civil War?
Civil War, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he Tony Stark built him the Iron Man outfit back when Spider-Man joined the Iron Man side of Civil War. And it's just probably one of the coolest armors ever. So I was looking up, there's 17 different layers to the armor. There's an antenna so you can listen to music and stuff. There's temperature control. It's got the repair bots, the little sensor bots on it to repair it. So, I mean...
I think you missed the Waldos.
Oh,
right?
The Waldos as well, yeah. The little claw arms. I think there's 3 that climb out of a backpack.
Awesome.
It's just all around would be really cool, and especially if you go to the movie sense of it. Have an Andrew Garfield. There's a huge debate about who Spider-Man would be. That's a whole other topic. As long as it's not Tobey Maguire, nobody really cares.
So your third Iron Man would be any Spider-Man, would be specifically Peter Parker?
It would be Peter Parker, absolutely.
Okay.
Peter Parker. Obviously, the witty, cool kind of concept about it. The best part about Tony Stark being Iron Man is Tony Stark being Iron Man. So the best part about Iron Spider-Man would be Peter Parker being Iron Spider-Man. So, there's so many different ways we could throw that around, but I think just Peter Parker in general would be a great third Iron Man.
Do you think that he would properly use the repulsors? Would he fly even?
No, I think the Iron Spider-Man outfit has the gliders on it, so I don't think he'd be using any kind of flying. It definitely has repulsory grenades on it and stuff like that, so it'd be more of a weapon-based armor than Spider-Man really is, but I think there'd still be the webs, there'd still be flipping around, but more gliding and just being...
Stick to what he knows.
Yeah,
the gliding
ridiculously...
Spider-Man. Okay, so would he even change his name to Iron Man?
It'd have to be Iron Spider-Man. It'd have to... A little bit of both.
Get me pictures of Iron Spider-Man.
Iron Spider-Man.
Then we have Iron JJJ.
I'm pretty sure there's an analogy for that in that Battle World thing. I don't know.
Is it probably?
Probably.
Okay, so Peter Parker, Iron Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Get me pictures of Iron Spider-Man.
Okay, Greg.
I would, and it's funny, just the timing with this thought I had, if you guys have been keeping up, Amadeus Cho is set up to be the new Hulk. So I was thinking an interesting choice for the third Iron Man would be Bruce Banner.
Oh.
You think about some of the parallels with like why Tony first put on the suit, and it was to save his life. So with Bruce, in that aspect, the armor could kind of play off as gamma radiation and sort of be powered that way.
Yeah.
In that
I
respect.
like that.
So gamma powered
That's really
shellhead.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah,
Cool.
I mean, when he hulks up, the suit would absorb that energy and be
Oh,
powered
he'd still
by it.
be the Hulk.
Oh,
No,
really?
no. He would just be Bruce.
He wouldn't be able to Hulk
He
out.
wouldn't be able
It
to
would
Hulk out.
absorb the energy.
Like a Hulk dampening. Could you imagine if Hulk wore the Hulkbuster?
Well, the thing
would it
is,
really
There's
do
just
anything?
not enough armor in the world to contain that.
well, I did some basic research, and I haven't really been interested in the Indestructible Hulk series, but Hulk does have armor on. It doesn't really fit the purposes of here, though. This would be Bruce in the armor. The armor would hold in his hulking gamma radiation and be powered by it. It'd be a really interesting suit dynamic
He
technologically.
could Hulk out and fire the unibeam.
Exactly.
Because being Iron Man is also about using the unibeam.
Exactly.
Does he change the color scheme at all? Is this a purple and green iron armor?
I mean, you gotta think it'd be a green armor, maybe with purple highlights, like glowing chrome lines, perhaps.
That's a couple
This
of
might-
heads building an armor.
This will date the show, but there's a Spider Island
Oh,
4
yeah.
just came out in the greater Marvel
Was it the one
universe.
you
That is
showed me?
yes,
Yeah, okay.
where Tony Stark. Listeners, you're not going to read this one anyway, so Tony Stark in an alternate universe is injured and takes the Goblin formula. And for no reason other than taking the Goblin formula, he redoes the color scheme on his Iron Man armor to that of the Green Goblin's colors, which are the same as the Hulk's colors, and starts throwing repulsor-based pumpkin bombs and things.
You know, the boots still work, right?
And there's this really great line where it's basically a Venom book. Flash Thompson Venom is hanging out with that universe's Peter, and they're talking about how crazy Tony is going. And the line is, he's using the glider. We know his boots still work. Okay, so that's cool.
I mean,
Banner Hulk. Banner Iron Man. I love it.
If we're gonna talk about color scheme, maybe he uses more of a gray-green, just to reflect his
Gray
early
Hulk.
Gray Hulk.
Mr. Fix.
I mean, it would really add an added layer of depth to Banner's character, who really was just a wimpy smart guy. I mean, I don't know too much about Bruce Banner, but it'd give him a chance to explore.
I think there was a not nearly the same, not nearly as cool as that, but I think there was actually, remember Bullet Points? Anybody remember that series that Marvel did? It's kind of like they changed certain people's origins and put different people in certain roles.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, there was one that they actually had. I'm pretty sure it was Banner as Iron Man, but it wasn't nearly as like interesting as that.
And timing with the movie, like John was talking about, this Tony Bruce bromance going on. That's sort of how you can introduce it.
Science Bros.
So
Because he would not want to keep hulking out, and this would give him like
exactly. I just thought it was really cool how like Tony built this armor to save his life, and you figure maybe Bruce might want to do that too to keep his Hulk in check, and still
really
do
cool.
some good work, perhaps using more like rescue.
Where her stuff isn't
where
offensive.
hers was more constructive.
Yep.
He would have destructive stuff too, and it would be funny to see him go into that sort of Hulk mentality sometimes and say, some problems you need to solve with your fists. So
So he just rips off the suit and then I'm the
no,
Hulk
he
now.
stays
Oh, he stays
Iron
like
Man,
just
but
Unity.
he's just, just Bruce, and it'd just be really interesting to see how that affects his psyche.
I do love that a lot. And the fact is, you don't get to see Banner as smart all that often.
Right.
Except for when they did Smart Hulk. Or Gray Hulk, or Fix It, or one of those things. And really get to explore how fun Banner could be in the same fun that Mr. Fantastic gets to have all the time. The same fun that Tony gets to have all the time, fixing stuff. And Spider-Man, being a scientist, Banner is always bogged down with, how am I going to fix myself? How am I going to stop the Hulk? Where here it's, I don't have to stop the Hulk anymore. This armor is great, and I can use my intellect to now help people instead of trying to fix the terrible situation I'm in.
How epic of like a panel would it be just like see him just Hulk out of the armor?
Yeah.
Just during like a big bad sort of situation.
some crossover event thing.
Yeah. I
He
mean,
gets so angry he just can't contain him anymore, and
like he just punches out of the armor.
Who's designing this Iron Man armor? art-wise. If this was a real book, who's designing this armor?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Who would you suggest?
Does the armor involve feet?
There would be feet. I mean, in my mind, it would just be a standard Iron Man armor.
If it doesn't involve feet, I would suggest Greg Land, because he actually is now. There's so much stuff thrown at Greg Land, but in general, I think he was a really good colorist and he's a really good designer in certain things. And he was on that last Iron Man book, where I did like a lot of the things inside of it.
Invincible?
No, the one that started with Marvel Now. Land was the artist on the Marvel
really?
Now.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was good.
Oh,
So I liked the art style of that. I think he'd do a really good job. And he just put out. He's going to be on X-Men, where there's this new X-Men group where it's Magneto at the head, and Mystique and Sabretooth, and Archangel is on it. It's a really good cover. If you want an awesome cover to display this great new Iron Hulk, Land might be able to color it well too.
And again, it's more Iron Banner. That's the point.
True, Iron Banner.
And it would be a good way to
cool
keep Amadeus Cho in check. Just make sure his Hulk powers don't get too out of sync there. So.
All right then, Iron Hulk, Iron Banner.
Iron Banner.
All right, Kenneth.
mine is not near. Mine is not nearly as cool as these guys. These guys put a lot of thought into it. Mine was more of a. I purely went for a synergy to the armor type scenario, and okay, hear me out. When you think of time traveling mutants, there's two answers, and it's not the one you're thinking of.
Oh, it's Cable is what I think of immediately.
Exactly.
Right.
But it's not.
Is it Bishop?
Okay.
It's Lucas Bishop.
It's Lucas Bishop.
Of XSE. I think it would be really clever from just a...
Okay, so Bishop, the X-Men character who maybe right now people probably
It's not very... Yeah, it's
don't
not
know about.
very relevant.
He actually... I won't spoil anything, but he does a lot of bad things for the X-Men, and he's actually a villain in the Cable series, where Cable is running around through the multiverse, through time, not the multiverse, through time, with Hope, trying to protect her.
Yep.
But he is so famous for being an awesome 90s character. Long hair, gun-toting mutant.
Big guns.
And his power, if you could just go through that.
His power is that he can absorb and then unleash and redirect any form of kinetic or just radiant type of energy that is used against him.
Marvel loves the idea of kinetic energy because it is so... it's like Eldritch energy.
Did you know it glows?
It does glow. Kinetic energy glows. But you actually know Bishop from Days of Future Past movie.
Yeah.
He was also in that. I believe he's murdered in it several times, right?
The one on-screen one, they
yeah.
overload it, which...
I
don't know.
Doesn't he die right in the beginning? He's like stabbed, and then
the notable one is near the end.
Oh, right.
Where they like overload. I don't know if that's even
he absorbs
possible.
so much energy
I don't
and
know if that's
explodes or
even
something.
If that's even possible,
Yeah.
right? So his Iron Man armor works how so?
It would be using a feature that he actually received after Messiah Complex, which is his arm. Before that, his arm got like ripped off, and he stole a cybernetic arm from Forge.
Okay. Forge,
So-
the mutant who's a technopath and works for X-Force.
Yep. So basically, he would be able to, instead of think of like the full suit, he would leave that arm open so that he could use it.
Stylistically, that's really cool.
Just because I don't know if I'd really want to believe that he can use the armor to kind of absorb it for him since he's wearing it. Give him something that he could actually...
In general, though, a lot of things are just made up because they look cool.
Yeah.
And that would look really cool. And explain the science later. Who cares?
It would. I just think it would be really cool. In like what Greg said with Banner, he could use his power to power the armor
And the Unibeam.
and the Unibeam.
Right.
that was actually the chief reason that I chose Bishop.
Would you let his locks flow out of the helmet?
I mean, I would almost opt for something totally unrelated to comics, but since you play Heroes of the Storm, you know that Nova skin where she's got like the like hologram braid of hair? Something like that where you can see his dreads, but it's not actually his hair. Like almost like metal dreads, like they almost look like the Predator.
I just think really cool would be on the helmet you have the M. Like
definitely.
The mutant M
definitely.
on the eye. Yeah,
like, that'd be very cool.
The future timeline that Bishop is from, the Sentinels have taken over and they've branded every mutant with that M over their right eye.
Yes.
So that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Agreed. But then they would definitely know it was him.
Whereas, I mean, if we're sticking him in, well, I'm thinking of sticking him in for some plot. He's being
he's not taking over the book.
No, it would be like some plot.
Okay,
he needs to be Iron Man.
I imagine Iron Banner as a new book that just came out.
I mean, you could I would root it if we're gonna go solo book. I would root it in plot. Something happens.
Okay,
and then perhaps they wouldn't know it's him because he would be facing Tony's own Rogues Gallery, which he would handedly defeat because
every single one of
them are
some sort of energy based. Yeah, could you imagine
corporate espionage and all that?
Could you imagine the living laser?
He would just get humiliated.
Would he actually die? I think the living laser would die.
It would be up to Bishop.
Yeah, he would just absorb him.
I guess my question is, since you read Iron Man a lot, does like Iron Man interact with like Bishop a lot, or like the X-Men?
I don't believe they've ever met.
They've never actually met before.
They've never met.
The closest thing that but I didn't read as much during the where Cable is running Hope through time, and then that whole Avengers, X-Men. Mike will get to a feature of that comic eventually down the line.
Okay.
I don't know if they actually, because correct me if I'm wrong, he was trying to kill Hope, right?
I honestly don't know if he was really involved with Avengers vs. X-Men.
No, I know, but
but he's totally trying to kill Hope. Yes.
They would have come into contest because the Avengers in that storyline were not like they were just taking her and then they trained her and then
right.
Happened.
I think it was Wolverine that ended up giving up and wanting to murder her or something.
Yeah. It'd be really cool. Like just thinking of it from like a armor perspective, where he like absorbs his power and just unleashes his Unibeam, and then he's back to, sort of a pedestrian armor.
Exactly.
It'd be really interesting just to see how he overcomes that.
He would fill in the gaps with his own.
Does he have a gun? Oh, does he have a gun?
I mean, it's Bishop, so I would.
So he has a gun.
He'd be carrying around like a.
Well, normally normally when you use a gun, sometimes you don't need the gun.
Well,
as you're going to see with my guy, who always totes a gun, or at least two.
He would definitely have it.
Okay, I like that.
I just I didn't put nearly, like I said, as much thought. These guys' ideas were amazing. Mine was purely from the armor would look really cool and.
Yeah, it would look really cool.
It would synergize.
So we go with Banner, Parker, and Bishop, and I guess I am last.
Always uses two guns.
Always uses two guns.
Is it Two Gun Kid?
No, it's not Two Gun Kid. It is Kang the Conqueror.
Wow.
Kang is my ideal Iron Man. Kang is created in 1974. He is a Fantastic Four villain. He's Nathaniel Richards, the great-great-grandson of Reed Richards, and he bears Reed Richards' father's name, or is it Sue Storm's father's name? He's a time traveler from the 30th century. He's consistently shown up wearing powered armors. The first being the Scarlet Centurion armor, giving him the ability to fly, shoot energy blasts, very, very similar stuff to Iron Man. But even before he's Kang the Conqueror, he is just this Scarlet Centurion person. Just like Iron Man, Kang has no real superpowers. Just like Tony Stark, no real superpowers. And then eventually he comes back as Iron Lad. Young Nathaniel Richards is transported back in time at the age of 16 and combines with other heroes in Young Avengers #1, taking the name Iron Lad. His suit is essentially the Silver Centurion armor, baby-sized. It is a 16-year-old Silver Centurion armor. In the same way that Rhodes takes the Silver Centurion armor and goes to the West Coast Avengers, you now have what is my favorite armor twice showing up in people who have replaced Iron Man. And Iron Man acts to replace Iron Man in this Young Avengers, which is, it's in 2 volumes. It's really easy to find. You can pick it up. There's cool characters like Hulkling and eventually Stature, which I think is really cool, the character of Stature, who is the second Ant-Man's daughter, gets Pym particles, and she gets to be really big and cool, and it moves with her emotions. So Young Avengers is really creative and innovative, but it is, sadly, it is just a ripoff of 90s DC's Young Justice. But it's the same thing. It's baby heroes, but it's about 2 volumes of about a dozen issues apiece, and it's essentially the Marvel version of Young Avengers. Young Justice.
That is the Marvel version of Young Avengers.
It gets crazy with Scarlet Witch's dead kids eventually. They come back, then it goes to with Wiccan and Speed, but anyway. Also, so how do we bring Iron Lad into this?
Right.
Tony starts drinking again. Or he goes off world like he does sometimes. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy for a little bit with a very interesting armor, the space one.
It was really cool.
So that could be fun. And basically the world needs an Iron Man. Iron Lad goes there. Basically Iron Lad's initial thing was to recreate the Avengers anyway, all to stop himself from becoming Kang. So this could be the exact same Iron Lad. You could take any Kang from any of the histories, and I think he'd fit really well. And the perfect thing is he could come right back wearing that Silver Centurion armor.
That's a pretty cool idea.
I would love that. And also, he doesn't, and in the same way that Rhodes, no one knew, just start an Avengers book with no one knowing that Iron Man is any different. Tease it up. Or have them, like they just did with Hulk. Who knows what the new Iron Man is? I do, but no one else will. That'd be really cool.
I mean, would his conquering days sort of come into play, I guess?
The original Iron Lad is like abducted by an older Kang and sent back in time. So his prime motive is to not end up like Kang.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I think it'd be interesting to have the actual Iron Lad. He does go back to his own time. And people who are interested in Kang, you don't have to go and read a bunch of things. Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the TV show, which is on Netflix, all 2 seasons, it's wonderful, does Kang like they do all of the villains in that show perfectly. Just absolutely wonderful. Kang is great. He's voiced great. All of his motivations are good. He's super powerful. He shows up a bunch of times. He's really good. So
You could do Battle of Future Kang too. You could be like Iron Lad fighting himself in the future.
exactly.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Like the idea? It's creative.
I guess just with the ideas generated, we had Bishop, who's a reasonable level of intelligence, I'm pretty sure. Banner's super smart. Peter Parker's super smart.
Kang is the smartest. He's
a
a 30th century individual who is a master of 30th century technology. So
is Iron Man, is he just a smart guy in a suit, or just with these ideas, does he have to have some sort of quality to him that?
Yeah, addiction usually.
Yeah.
No. Is there a thing that is distinctly Iron Man? I think so. But they'd all bring something different. There is something that is very specifically, instinctively Spider-Man.
Right.
It's the wit, it's the goofiness, it is the solving things with a terrible power set that is being Spider-Man.
It's not terrible.
Yeah, it's just that's maybe a topic for another time.
That's for a different time. But
there is an alternate reality Iron Spider-Man where he's just gets into the suit and doesn't really know what to do, so he calls all his minor disasters all over the place that everybody gets mad at him. I thought that's pretty interesting.
Oh, this also the 90s. Actually, it might have been the 80s. The Iron Spider suit that Peter built himself. It's black and gray, and he treats his webbing to be like this weird ceramic metal type of armor that doesn't even make it through its initial
look at
issue,
that.
but it's such a cool cover. So he's done the kind of Iron thing before.
Yeah, there was an Ellie Hero click of that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's like fly and stuff, right?
I think so, right?
No, he couldn't fly. He
No?
actually had almost no technology inside the suit. It
Oh,
was
it's
just
just armor.
really, really fortified. But they took that idea and they went with that wonderful Spider-Man the animated series, and they made him that Tony Stark kind of Spider-Man, where everyone knows that he's Spider-Man. That's like the fourth to fifth last episode of that series, where they do the Secret Wars thing, and then it's the Battle of the Spider-Man. So I love Peter Parker. I think he brings the Iron Man aspect. Everyone picked a smart person except for Bishop, I think.
I mean, he's not. He's.
Oh no, he's not dumb.
He's smart in the same way that like James Rhodes is smart.
Okay, I'll
Like
give you that.
military
Yeah.
intelligence.
Definitely.
Could you stick like a bruiser in there? Like,
I
could
would-
you
I-
stick?
I-
could it be Iron Wrecker?
No, nothing could be that awesome.
Nothing can contain that
I would
awesome.
contest that Bishop is a bruiser. Bishop solves things with his fists
He
and
does.
his guns. Which is the same way Rhodes settles things. So
Oh, maybe I'm
he's,
thinking-
he's in the war
His
machine.
personal armor has a Gatling gun and a rocket launcher on it. So,
It is the variable threat response
and there was
armor.
that time that he had the armor
But-
that could like fuse a tank.
Let's remember
Yeah.
that's why he got his own branding as War Machine.
Right.
Right.
That's
He
true.
became
He's different.
the War Machine. This is
Yeah.
Iron Man. This is
Right.
like if Banner was going out in this armor, he'd be Iron Man.
In that regard, too, I don't
Right.
think Peter Parker could not be a spider thing. He couldn't be an Iron Man. He needs to be a spider Iron.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why in the
Iron
headlines
Spider.
of the Daily Bugle it'd be Iron parentheses Spider then Man.
He loves himself too much to ever just be like, oh, I'm Iron Man.
Oh, I don't
Like,
think
I gotta be
so.
the Spider-Man.
Spider-Man needs to let his villains know that he has changed his address.
The Vulture needs to
The
know.
Vulture needs to know these things. Well, because if it was up to Kraven the Hunter, he'd just find him. But anyway, I think that about wraps it up
Yeah.
for Iron Man.
Debatedly on another show, we got to talk about this crappy power set for
Well,
Spider-Man.
I didn't say
don't know.
crappy. I just said it's no one's first choice. Thanks for joining us on Comics Topics. Follow us on Twitter at Comics Topics. Full on just the full words.
Yep.
You may follow Greg.
Oh yeah, you can follow me at Citizen Mason. I'm a reporter for the Citizen in Auburn, New York. So you can follow me there if you're interested in
News?
Auburn area news and some Central New York stuff.
Well, Greg's trying to say is he's basically Peter Parker.
And last thing, tweet at us at Comics Topics. Give us ideas for the show, things you want to answer for yourself. Tell us if Bishop has ever met Iron Man. That'd be fine.
Yeah, you can follow me at Kenny Church and check my other show out, Lag Time Podcast. Check us out on Facebook. We talk about video games.
And join us next time for an ode to Ron Perlman and the best book to get into Batman. Thanks.